Adele, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us today with you.
You are on the front line together with your colleagues at UNICEF, the Middle East and North African region. Tell me more what you have found out while working with your colleagues in Syria, in Turkey right now.
Well, UNICEF is an agency that is concerned with children. And the situation, really, the earthquake has been devastating for children because there was one child that said that they were feeling like as if the world is spinning around them. And of course, many of them will not be able to go back to their homes, will not be able to go back to their schools. Many of them are saying that there was one girl who said that she had been ranking the first in her class, and now she doesn't know whether she will be able to go back to her school because she doesn't know actually if the school is able to receive them, because many schools have been damaged and many schools are not able to receive again children anymore.
What was it like for you to hear that coming from the children, from the little girls? How are you comforting them? You know, what kind of potential can you build for them? I'm sure you are doing it.
The impact on children can be very long-term. You know, the impact of trauma on a child can be very long-term. And for us, the most important thing is to try to re-establish a normalcy in the life of the children. And this is why UNICEF, the first thing that we usually do, even if it is something as basic as allowing children to play, is something very important, because children, we should also let them live their childhood. And part of the childhood is really playing, another part is going to school, and another part is having your parents. And your friends. These are the most important things for kids. So what we are doing now is trying to establish, and we have in some places, like in Aleppo yesterday, I received some videos about some spaces that UNICEF has established. We call them safe spaces for children, where they are able to play and where they are able also sometimes to be with their parents. And UNICEF has some recreational kits that we usually bring for children. Immediately after that, we will try to see if some of the teachers could also do some learning and teaching while they are in the center, pending the return of the children to schools. But we cannot encourage sending the children to schools before we check the condition of the schools and whether they are able to go back.
Right. When you say toys, what are the toys that you are trying to provide to the children there? I know it's a very devastating situation. People, just want to have at least the sufficient food and water, but you are also trying to cheer up the children there to live a normal life out of abnormal situations. So what are the toys you are providing them right now? Can you give some examples?
Yes, of course. I mean, the recreational kits, they include things like a football can be very good for a child, Something else is also some coloring books with coloring pens. We also have some games that they can play. We have also a skipping rope. All these are things that occupy the child. We like also a lot to talk about children who can draw something, because when they draw, they are able even more to express themselves. And so all these, and there are specific games and that we will be working on, introducing that are part of this package. Right. Of course, the big challenge in all this is that usually we rely on social workers or volunteers to do this from the community itself. And unfortunately, in the case of this earthquake, many of the colleagues who work for our partners, whether they are NGOs or whether they are community members, they have been themselves affected. So the impact is really double, because usually they are the ones who help, but now they are the ones that need the help themselves. They need
so how are you solving this?
Families. I mean, I think it is only human to allow the first few days for people to be able to settle their families.
Yeah.
But we have been really humbled by the resilience of the workers in the NGOs who really are prioritizing the community work. We
Yeah.
are humbled by this. Of course, there will be a small part of them that will take a long time to be able to recuperate. If one of them has lost a spouse and kids, it's very difficult to ask them to do a lot at the beginning.
Adele, we are especially talking about Syria. This is a country that has been burdened by multiple crises, the war, the sanctions, and now the earthquake. So you could imagine the fate of children as a result of this. So do we have an estimate about how many children might be affected as a result of this earthquake? How many of them have lost their parents? What the society need to do, both include you and many others who want to do something for them?
We estimate the number of children impacted in Syria by about 3.7 million children who have been, that's a very big number. I mean, maybe it's very easily said, but it's a big number when you talk about 3.7 million children. And I think, as you rightly said, the crisis or the earthquake came against a background. You know, we were going to go into the 12th year of crisis in Syria, 12 years of a crisis that has not been solved. Also, recently, over the past 6 months, there has been a serious economic deterioration of the situation, you know, depreciation of the currency, increasing levels of poverty, very limited amount of fuel on the market, a few hours of electricity per day for the people. And on top of that, since September, we had cholera, and the cholera had impacted exactly those regions that you are talking about, the regions of Aleppo and Idlib and in the northwest of Syria. So it was living really abnormal conditions. And as a result, the impact is really much more huge.
We have seen from media reports, including the reports about the Chinese rescue teams for Turkey, for example, that children are being saved from under the rubble. Every time when the children showed up under the rubble on the footage, everybody just feels so happy, and we see the hope. But those are the fortunate and sometimes also unfortunate ones, because they have to face a situation that they might not be able to find their parents anymore. So many wonder, what are going to be the fate of these children, you know, for months and years to come? What are some of the common practices for organizations like yours to work with the local authorities to make sure these children will be further guaranteed?
The main thing that we encourage the local authorities to do is really to see if these children could be kept with the extended family and not in institutions. We are not in favor of establishing orphanages, and we prefer that the family, the extended family, for example, an aunt or a grandparent or an uncle, be given some specific amount of money per month to take care of that child, but keep the child within the family. Because the normal place of the child is the family, and it is not good to put them in institutions. The best institution will always be subject to some form of abuse or violence. And the best place for the kids is to be with their extended families. They will feel safer. And it is even less costly than establishing an institution.
From someone like you, who is extremely experienced in crisis management like this for the cause of the children, and looking at a country that has been torn so many times for 12 years of multiple layers of crisis, what do you hope sincerely the international community should do in order to ease the pain of these children that you and your co-workers are right now trying to help?
Yeah, I think for us, of course, the number one really is to be able to reach every child wherever they are. I mean, over the past 2 days, we have been having missions inside Idlib, and we sent colleagues there that have not been able to go there for a long time, and now they are going there. So that's
Mhm.
something positive, and I sincerely hope that it will continue. And we should not allow any reason to prevent us from reaching the children wherever they are with what they need. I think that's for us our basic humanitarian mandate, and that's the reason why we exist, you know. And I think that that's the position of UNICEF, maybe not only in Syria, but everywhere in every humanitarian
Mm.
crisis. We try
Yeah.
to reach all the children, irrespective of who and where they are.
Mm. Another thing, Adele, funding. How to make sure that the attention span will be there to focus on the children, whether they are in this incident, the Turkey, Syria earthquake, or they're elsewhere in the world. What do you think, once again, the international community can do, can deliver?
Yeah, I mean, I think you asked me at the beginning that Syria was dealing already with a difficult situation. And in
Mm.
fact, we have an appeal that we call the humanitarian appeal for children. I mean, a humanitarian action, sorry, for children
Mm.
that we issue every year for Syria. And it has not been well funded over the past 3-4 years, exactly because of what you said, that people are tired. There are so many other crises in the world. I think the impact of COVID as well, and the economic recession that came after that all.
Mm.
So now we hope that you know the people, the international community will not forget the children of Syria, and that we will be able to mobilize funds for that. Because if we forget, then the crisis will grow even more. If the crisis gets bigger, the cost of dealing with it will be much higher. So it is important to not forget Syria. Our appeal yesterday was for around 170 million for the next 3 months. And
Mm.
we are really hoping that the international community so far has shown some response, and we hope that this will continue. And I really want to thank all those who have contributed, even
Mm.
private individuals who have
Mm.
contributed so far, and who will contribute even more in the
Yeah.
months to come, hopefully.
So let me ask you
Yeah.
also finally about the role of cooperation between China and the UNICEF for the cause of children. Tell me more about where it is, and from your perspective, working in the Middle East, what have you seen?
I know about the support from China in a number of countries. And in the country where I was before coming to the Middle East and North Africa, I was in Ethiopia actually. And we received collaboration. We collaborated with China a lot, and we got funding on maternal and child health, specifically on the issue of newborn care,
Mm.
care for the newborns, and also the issue of maternal health. And in fact, we had received from China some funding to equip some of the centers that were for mothers and children health centers. And we also had training that some of the health workers went to China for training on
Mm-hmm.
issues related to maternal and child health. So there is a collaboration, and we really look forward to see how we can even strengthen it further. That is at the global level. And I know that colleagues in other countries, but I witnessed it myself in Ethiopia. And it was not only that China was giving money and that's it. No, but China was also doing some technical assistance, in terms of the training to go with
Providing
the
the
procurement
know-how.
of supplies, and exactly. So we look forward to a stronger partnership.
Adele, really appreciate it. I guess I'm saying this on behalf of myself and the colleagues that I'm working with, and also the children that you're trying to save every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you because you are also, shedding light on this important issue and on this devastating crisis for children. Thank you so much.